How does this man go from making over $4.3 million in his 13-year career to making over $3 million a month as a retired athlete? This is the interesting story of Junior Bridgman coming up. Before I start introducing Junior, this is what the president of Coca-Cola North America has to say about him. Take a listen.
Our third new bottler in the refranchising, Junior Bridgman. Many of you know Junior. If you're my age, you knew him when he was a Milwaukee Buck. We grew up watching Junior play with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar before he was actually named Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. He was then called Lou Alcindor with the Milwaukee Bucks. Junior left basketball in 1987 and bought a Wendy's franchise in Bedford-Stuyvesant in Brooklyn with Paul Silas of the Celtics. And he did a really good job in that store, so he bought another one. Then he bought 4 in Milwaukee and did an amazing job in those. And you can tell how this story goes. Well, almost 30 years later, he owned 280 or so Wendy's and 100 or so Chili's, and was one of the most successful private business families in American business.
He was never a star and never made over $350,000 in any of his 12-year NBA career, but he is one of the richest basketball players today. Meet Ulysses Lee Junior Bridgman. For most casual fans, myself included, I didn't know who Junior was. After all, he retired in 1987 before I was even born. But for the NBA community, Junior actually meant a great deal. Not only is he one of the richest basketball players today, but he is also one of the players that landed Kareem Abdul-Jabbar as a LA Laker that will go on to create the Showtime Lakers that will dominate the 1980s. Junior played a total of 849 NBA games, averaged 13.6 points, 3.5 rebounds, and 2.6 assists in 25 minutes per game. He was a swingman before the term really got popularized, mostly playing in the small forward position, but can also play the shooting guard position. Some believe that if the NBA Sixth Man of the Year award was created before the 1982-83 season, Junior would have won the award multiple times, as he came off the bench for most of his career. Although he was drafted 8th overall by the Los Angeles Lakers in 1975, and he would be traded to the Milwaukee Bucks before he even played again in the NBA. And he was an average NBA player at best. Born on September 17, 1953 in East Chicago, Indiana State, Junior started his basketball career strong when his 1971 Washington High School Senators basketball team went undefeated 29-0 and won the Indiana State High School Basketball Championship. At 6'5", Junior attended University of Louisville and was the Missouri Valley Conference Player of the Year in 1974 and 1975. He led the Louisville Cardinals to the 1974 NCAA Division I basketball tournament as a junior. As a senior, he again led the Cardinals to the Final Four of the 1975 NCAA Division I basketball tournament and lost to the eventual champion UCLA in the semifinal with a heartbroken 1-point deficit. After playing for the Milwaukee Bucks for the first 9 seasons of his career, he ended up playing for the LA Clippers for 2 seasons in the 1984-85 and 1985-86 seasons before returning to play for the Milwaukee Bucks for his final season during the 1986-87 season and retiring after that at the age of 33. The Milwaukee Bucks would eventually retire Junior's number 2 jersey in 1988. During his last 3 years of playing though, Junior was the president of National Basketball Players Association from 1985 through 1988. He would resign after the 1988 collective bargaining agreement was finalized and the controversial antitrust lawsuit, where NBA players indicted the NBA of violation of antitrust laws by compensating to execute matching offers for free agents and abusing the salary cap that led to a decrease in the total players' gross revenues from 61% in the 1983-84 season to 54% in 1988. Basically, under his watch, the NBA decreased the players' cut of the share revenues, so the players weren't too happy about it. But in his role as the Players Association's president, he gained exposure to the team owners, where Junior would listen to owners talk about movie and real estate deals, in between heated discussions about players' salaries.
And it really dawned on me what they were excited about was business itself. and creating something, making something happen. And basketball was just another one of the many businesses that they had, but they were more interested in making something happen. So I said, I need to understand and figure out what it is that's driving them.
So how does this man go from making a total of $4.2 million in 13 years to making over $3 million a month at the age of 68?
You know, when we came into the league hoping to get a job with some major company when our playing days were over with, and that was kind of the mindset. But what it showed me then was there was more to being successful, more to what you could do, because as I thought about the owners and got to learn more about them, they weren't any smarter, they were no different than the players. You know, they had just used their skill. And what was their skill? It basically the same things that we had, which was hard work and willing to work hard. And they had taken that and built that into whatever empire they had business-wise.
Well, you see, Junior was really a pioneer that would be a guiding star for many successful retired athletes to come. Though he made $350,000 in his last season with the Milwaukee Bucks, he knew that he was only 33 years old and he still has a long life ahead of him, and he couldn't just sit and do nothing for the rest of his life and live on his savings. So he started evaluating various business opportunities. He spent off seasons working at an insurance firm, but eventually he came across the franchise model and became obsessed with it. He loved hamburgers and couldn't say the same about insurance, so he used his hard-earned money to buy 5 Wendy's franchises in the Milwaukee area. Still, no investors or banks took Junior seriously, nor were they convinced that Junior had it took to become a successful business owner. Sure, he played in the NBA and made some money, but no one saw what was about to become. To see what Junior would become as an all-star in the world of business.
Best example, I had a banker that I had banked with most of my playing career and had put money in the bank. Well, the minute I went to him after my playing days was over, talking about we're getting involved in this business and everything else, and we need your support. And I went with the guy that was going to be the operations guy for me. And so he listens, and all the questions he asks are to the guy that I brought that's going to be involved with. He doesn't even look at me, ask me any questions, because it's automatically thinking in his mind, well, he doesn't really know anything about business. He's still just an athlete. So that you have to overcome.
Junior worked tirelessly in his stores, doing everything from flipping burgers to working the counter and interacting with his customers directly. Junior rejected the idea that Wendy's burgers and food were good enough to sell themselves and had a strong emphasis that it was all about the people. He started investing in his employees, helping some to make rent and bailing others out of jail to start a new life. Junior would prove all doubters wrong, growing his store from 5 Wendy's to eventually over 240 stores in the next 3 decades, making him the second largest franchise owner in the United States. Junior, who briefly owned a minority stake in the Sacramento Kings, is also an eager mentor for NBA players who wanted to learn the business side of things. In 2013, he teamed up with Chauncey Billups, a point guard who was most well known for winning the championship with the Detroit Pistons in 2004, to buy 30 more Wendy's restaurants in the St. Louis area together. At one point, he owned more than 400 restaurants, including 263 Wendy's locations and 123 Chili's restaurants in 20 states. Junior is the current owner of Ebony and Jet magazines. In 2016, Junior would eventually sold over 100 Wendy's and Chili's restaurants, all of which brought in over $530 million in annual revenue a year, and became a bottler for the Coca-Cola Company. And in 2018, he served as the president and CEO of Heartland Coca-Cola, a Coca-Cola bottling business, and runs its production plant in Lenexa, Kansas, along with its 18 distribution centers with his son Justin. As of August 2022, he is estimated to have a personal net worth of $600 million, making him one of the richest players of all time, in the same conversation with all-time greats such as Michael Jordan and Magic Johnson and Shaquille O'Neal. So what is next for one of the richest retired basketball players of all time? Go from here.
What do you hope your legacy is, what do you hope you're remembered by, and what would be on the headstone, and would it even be about business? And I would say, and I've told everybody that when the time's done and you look back over everything, if you can't look back over your life and see where you've helped someone, a group of people, a number of people make their lives better their position in life, if you can't do that, then however many years you've lived, I say you've just lived in vain. You've missed the mark. That would be kind of number one. And second, teaching my kids about passing things down from generation to generation. As Black families, we don't really think about generational passing down of things. It's about, because most of us never been in that situation. We've never had to think about it. So I try to get them to not think about themselves or the position they're in, but who's coming after you, which is their kids, and maybe after their kids, and saying, we've been blessed with a great opportunity that's transpired in all of these things. Let's be good stewards of it and make sure that it benefits a number of people, and especially people in the family.
This is NBA Player and Their Money Part 3. If you like this video, please be sure to subscribe to my channel so you will not miss the next video. Next up, we have the man, the GOAT, Air Jordan himself. See you soon.